Kevin Durant, after the game yesterday, everyone still cares. Everyone is pissed.
Most definitely. I feel like everybody wants to win. I feel like everybody's pissed off. When you see bad body language, I mean, people care. You know what I'm saying? And guys care in this locker room. I can tell they're pissed. We're having conversations amongst just ourselves sometimes. Obviously, we had conversations with the coaches and our individual coaches, but when we had that dialogue amongst ourselves, you know, we try to figure out what's the best way for us to move forward. We got suggestions, ideas, and when guys still keep that energy around communicating, you know, that shows that guys still want to figure this thing out. So I'm confident in our group that we'll come out tomorrow with a sense of urgency and be better.
No disrespect, KD. I am not confident in that, but okay.
No. I mean,
I'm not
to the point where, like, I mean, is anybody even excited to watch the game tonight? I mean, it's you had to win these two games against New Orleans. You didn't. Not to the point, like, I will watch it, but man, it's just becoming harder and harder. It is like, how many times do you hear the same like rhetoric all the time from players and coaches, and it's just nothing's improved. Like you can say, you know, the Suns have done a good job this year of talking the talk, but not walking the walk.
Sure, of course. No, look, I'm not saying that, you know, tonight's game, I'm not saying I don't think the Suns are done. I do think the Suns are done. I don't think the Suns are going to get back into this. I guess, you know, the desire would be, okay, you tell me that everyone's pissed, that everyone still cares, because that's the worry right now. And we're going to talk about this over the course of the day. But the worry right now is that nobody cares and nobody is really pissed and apathy is set in. And what does that start to look like with 23 games to go? But if the conversation specifically is about Kevin Durant, and here's a question he was asked last night.
Where would you start in addressing what needs to be done to start fixing things?
I got to be way better.
In what sense?
Everything.
I got to be way better. In what sense? Everything has to be better. KD was also asked about Budenholzer saying last night that the Suns need to be optimistic. And his exact response was, quote, I don't want to say the wrong thing and people take it out of context. So I'm just going to agree that we got to be better, close quote. And to me, that was the most interesting thing out of Kevin Durant's mouth last night, because it's like, hey, your coach is saying you got to be optimistic. And at that moment, he kind of took the high road, and rather than say anything that would conflict the words of his coach, that would run direct opposite to the words of his coach. Hey, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want it to be taken out of context. I'm just going to agree we all got to play better. It's a crossroads moment for Kevin Durant too, and it's a crossroads moment for them and Kevin Durant.
So two things I'd like to discuss here. One, God forbid, the Suns cannot afford for Kevin Durant to get injured over these next 23 games. They cannot afford for him to have an injury. They need to trade him in the summer. You got 4 back-to-backs. Do you play him on the back-to-backs? Do you still go all out to try to win? You're only 4 games out. You might not want to, wave the white flag yet. We all can. We all can say they're done, they're toast, they're not going to make it. I don't think they will. But I think that there might be a point, like, you just got to cross your fingers and hope that Kevin Durant does not get injured. Because if Kevin Durant has any injury and that could hurt his trade value, you're screwed.
Okay.
You're screwed.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay, what's the second one?
Spoke with a team last night. I'm not going to say who. The Suns hate each other, and it begins and ends with KD. The dude is kryptonite. I said, what's his value? He doesn't have much on betting. They won't get anything close to what they gave up. I would start by moving KD for as little salary as possible back with picks and see what I could cobble together with the rest of them. Financial flexibility to cobble together whatever I could take from other teams looking to get off money. Teams that want KD or teams that feel they're a KD away from winning a title, most of them are apron teams. Will be really hard with these new restrictions to do a good deal that provides flexibility to add depth.
Okay. Let's take these one at a time.
Okay. You start.
The idea of you got to protect him to make sure he doesn't get hurt so you can trade him in the offseason. I agree, but there's only one way to really truly do that, and that's not to play him at all, right? Like, anytime he steps on the floor, there's going to be an injury.
And you're not going to do that 4 games out. You're not going to wave the white flag with 23 games left. You're not.
And so, to me, that's a really complicated question because it's complicated because I think that what's yet to be determined is, would they make a coaching change now with 23 games to go? Because I think if they do, we're just speculating, we don't know unless you know something. I don't think you do on this. if they were to make a coaching move now with 23 games to go, I think that would spark a little bit of a, hey, could this work? Hey, could they get back in this? Hey, does it re-engage the players? And does it get, now maybe that's going to be a short-lived thing. But if you're going to do that, then I don't think you can curtail Kevin Durant's minutes, because you're basically doing that with the idea of let's give it one last gasp and see if we can get there. That's not cutting Kevin Durant's minutes. If after that, or if that doesn't happen, and you get to say, where are we, 23 games to go? And you get to 15 games left.
Don't play them on the back-to-backs.
16 games left. Then I think you start limiting the minutes a little bit. You start dialing them back, especially when it becomes even more evident that you're really not going to get into the play-in tournament.
The fear is 40 minutes a game is going to eventually get him injured.
Well, I mean, that's what we were always afraid of. I just think, I don't think there's any way they'll do that now yet. But I would agree that at some point, 8 games from now, 7 games from now, that might be prudent.
The Suns hate each other, and it begins and ends with KD. The dude is kryptonite. What's his value? He doesn't have much, I'm betting. They won't get anything close to what they gave up. I would start by moving KD for as little salary as possible with picks and see what I could cobble together with the rest of them.
They're going to do that.
Okay.
They're going to do that.
Right.
I mean, right? Like, is there anybody, isn't that what we kind of started the show with? Is there anybody who still doubts that? Now, are they going to do that because of everything this unnamed person told you? Are they going to do it because, I don't know. It's
high-ranking front office executive is as far as I'll go.
Like, to sit here and say, hey, you trade KD and everything's going to be fine. Man, that makes it sound like it's all Kevin Durant's fault. And you and I watch every single minute of every single one of these games. He's played great, right? Like, he's played really, really well. So to sit here and say that it's all him, it's all his fault, he deserves all the blame, I think is just as irresponsible as saying it's all Bud's fault, change the coach and everything. You know, you can't just label it and put it all on one guy and say it's him. If you're not gonna do that with Bud, I think you have to not do that with KD as well and say it's all him and it's all his fault.
It's everybody's fault. There's so much blame to go around right now. But KD bears some responsibility and the blame too. He's a great scorer, but he's, is he doing everything he can to help this team win? I mean, he's got to look at himself and say that too. Now he's an older player. He paces himself. He slowed down a little bit. Bill Simmons said it the other day. You're starting to see the decline with Kevin Durant. We see it. There's an obvious decline, especially late in some of these games. And it's hard. I mean, Rudy Gay said it's a young man's game. It's a young man's game.
But we are talking about Kevin Durant, the Hall of Famer, and also the 37-year-old Kevin Durant. Yeah. So any team that is going to make a decision to try to move him and take him on is going to have to give up a lot because of what he's done. Now, I personally don't see too many teams willing to do that besides the teams that need to make that little push. Now, we talked about it earlier about which teams they were, but like you said, he is a Hall of Famer, first ballot, I believe.
Easily.
I know him personally. He's been one of the hardest people for me to ever guard. But I do also think that at this point, it's only a certain amount of teams that
because of his age,
because of his age, and this is a young man's league now, and you got to move a lot of people for that guy, and you have to have a plan.
I think also this slippage that we're talking about. He's not the same player he was 5 years ago, but has it been so dramatic that he's
not on offense
that much? Defensively, I would agree with you. There's been some slippage there. I still think Kevin Durant has value in this league. I don't think whatever slippage Bill Simmons or you or I might see, I think I hope there are going to be enough teams in this league who still look at Kevin Durant and see that there is value there that he can bring the team. Because I don't think it's like he hasn't fallen. He hasn't done the Chris Paul Game 3 versus the Dallas Mavericks where he just went up and got old in the middle of the night. He hasn't slipped like that. Not even close.
Even you acknowledged that he's not going to get anywhere near the value of what the Suns gave up to get him 3 years ago.
But that was never going to happen.
No, because he's 3 years older.
Honest to God question, whoever thought that was going to happen?
Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Did you hear his comment yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
You got to give up a lot to get me. I cost a lot.
Who else?
You might not cost that much.
Who else ever thought that was going to happen?
It's just Kevin Durant.
No, that was
Okay, how about
that
after
was
the? How about
fool's
after
gold
the?
to think you were going to get the exactly in return what you gave up to get him. No way.
You know what the package was in the deal when they were going to trade him. Because I told you,
and that wasn't close to what the Suns gave up to get him.
but it was a really good package.
Wasn't close to what the Suns gave up to get him.
Nope.
Mikal, Cam, Jay, 4 first pick swaps.
Nope.
Jimmy Butler, Jonathan Kuminga, and a couple firsts. That ain't
And
the
a couple
same deal they
seconds.
got. Okay,
Nope, not close.
Not close.
You're right.
Not close. They were never going to get that.
And I don't think that they could get close to that deal this summer because, again, you lose a year of playoff KD.
Okay, but I don't think you need to get close to that this summer.
You need to get off the money.
You need to get off the money. You need to get
You need to start getting off money.
Young players whose contracts are going to start to expire that you can decide whether you want to keep in draft picks and things like
or
that.
an old player who's going to expire. Yeah, you need to get off money.
That's what you need.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona Sports.